Hi, it's Holger Mueller here from Constellation Research, sharing with you my takeaways from Google Next 2019. Was the biggest Next ever for Google. Over 30,000 registrants. I would estimate live at Moscone maybe 12, 15,000, comparing it with other events, using both halves of Moscone with the new renovated stuff. Definitely an impressive feat from Google. If you compare that 3 years ago, Google just filled up one of those smaller San Francisco piers. People were being fed by 6 food trucks, to put this into dimension, versus the definitely 5-digit numbers coming this year to the conference. Before Google Next, I was sharing my 8 areas which I wanted Google to pay attention to, or potentially people had to pay attention to. So the first one was how enterprisey has Google gotten, and Google has certainly made significant progress there. I think the most prominent part is offering customers one way of support and billing for open source technologies, changing the game there to the competition with the open source vendors, but also listening to the enterprise who really doesn't care which components does my overall next generation application fall into, but I want to have one bill, one support part because it's built to my business users. That helps my enterprise to accelerate. What does Google do to make building next generation apps easier? Well, there the Anthos announcement with multi-cloud capabilities, of course, leveraging Kubernetes is probably the biggest part to give CTOs the freedom of mind to run Google-built application or Kubernetes-built applications pretty much everywhere. Third one was, what does Google do to give enterprises database choices? Well, Google is now running SQL servers in the capabilities there, so giving enterprises the chance to use a traditional load and move that to Google Cloud. The machine learning AI front, number 4, that was all about the AI platform, creating one AI platform, making it easier for business users to build their own AI applications, enhancements around AutoML and ML sheets and ML pipes, all good things where we now have to see what enterprise users are going to do. This goes beyond the data scientist. Then on people productivity, employee experience side, number of Android capabilities, using every Android device to approve 2-key authentication. On the people productivity side, making Sheets a big data front-end analysis tool and showing how an enterprise can completely run on G Suite, where the highlights there. Will Google pop up into SaaS? Well, they have the recruiting Google Hire application. Otherwise, it's just G Suite coming in there. Ask Thomas Kurian, the analyst meeting Q&A, don't they need a SaaS part? Thomas, of course, was smart to use media as an example, which was never really owned by the ERP vendors, and how Google can help a media company building all the important things, not so the financial accounting and other parts, which actually might be Google partners. And talking about Google partners, SAP was showing up all the time, left and right. Definitely a significant step towards this, especially with the new instance types, which Google has announced of 6 and 12 terabyte, to allow even the largest SAP HANA customers to move potentially to Google Cloud as their IaaS platform. Number 7, how does Google Stack come together from the consumer and business side? That's more of the philosophical part, but definitely we see things like the Google Assistant coming over into G Suite, so there's cross-pollination between different R&D parts. And last but not least, has Thomas Kurian been able to influence Google? I would say certainly yes. I wouldn't think that the push, the 3 differentiators, apart from traditional Google capabilities around cloud, the digital transformation being one, and vertical being the other one, wouldn't have been there without Google Thomas Kurian being there barely for 12 weeks. Let's come to my key takeaways of the event, and we're back at digital transformation vertical. Digital transformation to me is a little bit an old argument, but that doesn't mean enterprises have done it already. So it's probably of value. We have to see and speak to customers how much it really matters to them. And keep in mind, we work with the fast-moving companies who all have done their projects under the belt. The vast number of companies still have to do something in this area. And then, of course, key was Anthos announcement, cloud service platform before, right? A Kubernetes Knative-based capability to move all your Kubernetes clusters across different clouds. We demo showing it on AWS, I believe, or it was Azure, but both of these being supported platforms, that's what companies want. Not necessarily each vendor supporting Kubernetes in a slightly different way, but having one vendor, in this case Google, the owners, the grandfathers of Kubernetes providing that. Very enterprise-friendly approach. Mentioned that in the question, what do they do for enterprise friendliness with key open source vendors? MongoDB, Redis Labs was on stage with the CEO and 6 others more, not just to provide one support, but also one billing. And while the billing has been done across multiple different vendors, the support is really tricky. It doesn't mean it can't be done, but it's exactly what enterprise really would like to see. Then, of course, a key push on the artificial intelligence part with vertical applications like the retail capabilities, Those are my 4 takeaways from Google Cloud Next. So overall, significant investment on the Korean, change where he's saying he needs more salespeople on the street to fight with AWS and Azure for that, and get more load to scale for that. And to me, it feels like using the analogy that in the post Diane Green world, in the Korean world, Google has more capabilities, more value propositions for the enterprise, or more arrows in the cloud quiver. But all what's important now for Google is a very strong execution. Otherwise, that number 2 spot, which they're vying for, to be the 3rd cloud, as somebody said in their presentation, is definitely hard to get. Only thing to criticize, really criticize, hey, the Google Hangout part, the lower third is broken. This is Holger Mueller from Constellation Research. Well, here it is. Oh, there's the logo. Oh, it's twisted here. Constellation Research. Follow me on Twitter. All my keynotes are on Twitter. I keep my notes public for everybody to see on Twitter at Holger, MU, HOLGERMU. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.